Hi, this is a review of the orderIT system trading activity for August the 16th, 2021. We had 8 trades on that day, 3 were buys and 5 were short sales. First trade was CTRX. That's Citrus Pharmaceuticals Incorporated. It tripped at 11:54:49 a.m. at a price of 182. It was a buy. It closed the day at 181. And no change, so it finished at its previous close, and it's up today at 1.10%. So this opportunity, at least for a possible 11:54. So 11:54, 181. So there it came down, but 182. Okay. It's not concrete, but this section here, while it's not consistently, it's not 100% above its tripping, but there are multiple points where it was above its tripping for 136 to 212, so over half an hour. So I'm going to consider that a positive, even though the stock itself was not moving much above the tripping price. We'll see what the indicators are showing. And I'm on the wrong page. 11:54, 11:54. Yes, okay. Volume-wise, yeah. Volume-wise, you can see it was moving upwards during its tripping period, but not extensively, and afterwards it didn't really maintain it. MACD came up and came up, so at least MACD is going okay. That it was multiple points where it did move up. The second one is where that peak came up, where it actually jumped up above to its tripping price by a bit. DI looks good. DI looks like it was consistently above or moving positive. At the end of the day, interesting, it did look like, both the positive and negative were moving down, interestingly, which you would think they'd not, but it looked like DI was moving a little bit positive at the end of the day. And Bollinger Band shows that to be a little bit true also. In the day it was closing positive. Next trade is EVFM. That's EvoFem Biosciences Incorporated. Tripped 11:56:43 a.m. at a price of 69 cents. It was also a buy. It closed the day at 67.34, down 5.29%, and it's up just a little bit early morning here. Yeah, it's up. So yeah, let's see if there's any point here where it came up 11:50. Yeah, this doesn't look positive. Well, here, wait a minute. 11:56. Yeah. There's a short period of time where it looked like it was above its tripping price a little bit, but it didn't seem to be consistent. I can't see here. 11:56 roughly. 69.26, 69.21, 12.12. Yeah. So around 12:18, 11:56 to 12. That's 20 minutes. It was above its tripping price. Not much above its tripping price, but we're talking a penny stock here, so this is actually quite a bit. I'm going to consider it a positive, even though the stock itself, as you can see, wasn't strongly moving in a positive direction. It just happened to be that at that point where it tripped, it stayed above its tripping price for a period of time that would have given potential to get out. And again, if you were monitoring the stock, obviously you would have had to make a conclusion that it wasn't moving and get out when you can get out. But again, not heavily positive, but positive during that period. OBB, you can see it came up and then just drizzled off at the rest of the day after it moved up. MACD came up, as he came down, may move a little bit, but MACD, yeah, it came up when it tripped, but dropped. It was moving upwards in the afternoon, so it was not too bad. DI is not too bad. Yeah, you can see in the days where it came down, it actually dropped out, moving negative again. So stock, Bollinger Band, yeah, came up. Stock not concretely, moving positive, but there are points where it was moving positive. So it's kind of like a half and half day for that particular stock. Next trade is CGN. That's Compugen Limited, tripped at 12:15:40 p.m. at a price of 6.30. It was a short sale, closed at 6.12, and that's a positive, obviously. Yeah, OBV, you can see 12:15. Okay, so it just showed it was coming down a little bit here, but you see the day volume just started dropping off. MACD came down, stayed consistently down. DI at the point where it tripped, it came down and stayed negative pretty positively, and Bollinger Band showed the same thing. This middle part where it's moving sideways, you can see up here DI when it bounces back and forth. That's somewhat as an indication of sideways movement, but you can see in general Bollinger Band is showing also a negative trend. Next trade is EOG. That's EOG Resources Incorporated, tripped at 12:30:01 p.m. at a price of 66.38. It was a short sell. Closed today at 65.92, down 3.06%. That's another positive. Check the indicators for it. Yeah. Tripped to 12:30. Volume itself wasn't moving too negative at that period of time, but you can see at the end of the day it did drop off. MACD, same thing. It came down around that 12:30 and then recovered, it looked like, and then the day we moved back down again. DI, yeah, DI showing strongly negative when it tripped. A bit that little bit of afternoon period where it made a bit of a recovery, and then end of the day though it dropped off. So stock was bouncing back and forth, but in general that stock was moving negative. Next trade is FANG. That's Diamondback Energy Incorporated. Tripped at 12:30 p.m. at a price of 72.33. It was a short sell. Closed the day at 72.54, down 4.10%. So it actually was up. Stock is showing moving sideways. So that's going to be a questionable one. 12:30. Yeah, you can see no, it never really. Yeah. It never really moved down below its tripping price, so it looks like it was holding roughly that period or that price. Check the indicators. 12:30, 12:30. Yep. Okay. OBV looks consistently moving down, so OBV volume is moving downwards on a regular basis for the day. MACD, you can see it came down, but again, that afternoon period it recovered and moved sideways for the most part. The averages were not really going up or down in the afternoon period. DI, same thing. It came down, that recovery in the afternoon, and then middle or late afternoon, moving sideways. And Bollinger Band showing the same thing. There's no possible here too because the stock is just not really showing any direction. It's moving sideways, and that doesn't give any kind of concreteness behind it. Next trade is PEG. That's Public Service Enterprises Group Incorporated, tripped at 1:47:03 p.m. at a price of 64.74. It was a short sell. It closed today at 64.82, so it closed above its tripping price. That's not good for us. And it closed today at 15.15% above its tripping price, so let's say 147. So roughly around here. Did it come down? It stayed multiple periods. You can see here it did come down multiple times during the mid-afternoon period of time, and you could see late afternoon it's where it started to make its recovery. But we're talking almost an hour and a half here where it was below its tripping price on a regular basis. So for me, that's a positive. Check to see what the indicators say. OBV actually showing downward well, sorry, no, that's what I'm looking for. Downward activity. OBV is showing downwards, and then the day moving sideways. MACD, it came down and recovered. You see it tripped down here around 147. Yeah, it tripped around this period and then started moving upwards. Well, not started. It recovered right after it tripped. So we've got a V pattern here going. DI is actually showing fairly strongly negative. And negative for the most part, even though with the point where MACD was showing recovery on averages, index or direction-wise, it stayed negative for the most part of the day, and the directional index was showing a positive movement not till the end of the day. So the stock technically was moving negative for the most part of the day. And Boiler Bands pretty much is validating that. So you can see it came down here in the afternoon, and late afternoon period is where it started to recover a bit. Next trade is MFC, Manulife Financials Corporation. Tripped at 1:50:18 p.m. at a price of 19.98. It was a short sell. Closed the day at 20.03, down 0.48%. No, it maintained it. See, we caught it when it came down, but it maintained it. It didn't drop below that tripping price, which is standard, kind of observation with stock, is the fact that it reaches a range where it can't move out of for whatever reason, don't know why, just can't move out of that range, and so it's basically stabilized. So those basically considered stabilization points. Volume on that was showing somewhat negative movement, so it was moving negative, at least volume-wise. MACD showing the same thing. Came down, tripped here, but averages, you can see the recovering averages in the afternoon period. Mid to late afternoon period it recovered. DI showing the same thing. Came up, not really showing anything. Bollinger Band showing anything. So stock, Bollinger Band showing that the stock was recovering at the end of the day, even though DI bouncing back and forth. You would think it was moving sideways because of that bounce, but it looks like it was pushing a little bit more positive than negative. So that's not a positive stock. There's no potential there for that based on what we're seeing. Next trade is MBIS. Microvision Incorporated tripped at 2:08:56 p.m. Tripped at a price of $13.96. It was a buy. It closed the day at $13.86, down 1.84%, and you can see it's down 0.72%. Markets are down early morning. Look, all of them that Yahoo monitors. So S&P's down, Dow's down, Nasdaq down, Russell's down. So the market may end up moving negative today. But anyway, let's see. Did this have any opportunity moving above its tripping price? 1386 at a price of 208. 208. It looks like there was a period here where 208, 1396, 1412, 1412, 1404. Yeah, it's this period here, time here. You can see here, this is showing right after the tripping price that basically was maintaining its value above the tripping price and jumped up above it multiple times here for at least almost an hour here, and then the end of day it just dropped out. So you can see it dropped down below there, but again, that's positive because it was more than enough time to get out of the stock when it had moved positive. We'll check to see what the indicators are showing for that one. Volume, yeah, moving a little bit positive during the period where it tripped, and then sideways, at least volume-wise. MACD, not too MACD, came up, pretty much maintained it, which is what we were seeing in the price activity, that it pretty much maintained its price that it came up. And DI, again, same thing, came up, stabilizing. You can see it moving a bit negative, though, at the end of the day, or moving downwards at the end of the day. And Bollinger Band showing saying came up, and that end of the day drop, which is what we saw. So technically, the stock itself, it was moving positive for a good portion of the day. It just happened to be the end of the day it dropped out a little bit, but not too heavily. At least Bollinger Band showing that it's not a heavy drop. So you could say it's technically, somewhat moving positive at the end of the day, just a little bit negative, so it's not too bad. Okay, so that's all stocks. We had 6 out of 8 trades positive, which is good. 75% and 75% for possible, because none of the ones that didn't move positive or didn't end the day in a positive fashion had no possibility after that. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.